my brother.
Blessings, bro.
Here we are. Episode 3 with Cam Watkins.
Beautiful to be here, man.
Down in Pemberton. What a beautiful morning. So lucky.
Yes, it's amazing to be here. It's such a magical place.
So magical.
Yep, I've wanted to get down to the Karri Forest for ages, and to do that with you after our best friend's wedding, Lee, which was beautiful, full of love and celebration, which was, so much fun.
It's been a great weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about our upcoming event, just a few weeks away. And yeah, it feels really nice to kind of get out of the city and get in nature. And I mean, it's just been, there's a rainbow popping up over there gradually.
Oh.
And yeah, it has felt nice to get out here for so many reasons. Yeah, like you said, that wedding was just so beautiful and drenched with love and beautiful people.
Yeah, it was incredible.
The love was flowing abundantly, and to get out in nature, wow, this is magical.
Feeling really good.
Really excited about this upcoming event. What are you feeling in reflection of the last two that we've done and where this next one is going?
Ooh. Well, I mean, I think they've been huge and obviously so much fun. I mean, it's just something I love to do so much, to put these events on with you, and for us to just be able to dive in and to get people in the zone, to get people moving, and even more so just to see the effect that it has had on people from feedback that we've received. Just some huge sort of things have been said about shifts people have had or how they've felt afterwards, for days and weeks and going forward after those events. I'm looking forward to seeing how we will rejig it a little bit and just like continue to freshen things up. Obviously, we've had the cacao ceremonies in the last two. We've had a big ecstatic dance component in the last two, which has been amazing and so liberating. And so many people have said how comfortable they felt in that environment when they maybe thought that they wouldn't have felt so comfortable. And they had an incredible experience that way, I guess without the use of alcohol or drugs or anything like that. Potentially this time we will do it slightly differently and not have that component. We'll see. We've got some fine tuning to do to work that bit out, but I'm excited to for me, I'm excited about the idea of having even more guidance throughout the whole 3 hours, to drop people in even deeper. So that's something I'm excited about.
It's going to be, what a classy spot to, this venue just blew us away. I'm really
incredible.
excited to get the community in there.
Yeah.
With the grand piano and Matt on flute and Jared Spence.
Oh, man, it's just so beautiful.
The acoustics are it's made for concert.
Yeah.
And to bring that in with really dialed in beautiful sound and the guided practices, it's going to be really spectacular.
It's going to be incredible. I think it's going to be a beautiful show from having the guys with their music. Like you said, Jared, who is an incredible pianist and keys player, and to have him there on the grand piano and with Hatchie and Nick doing their thing as well. And again, perhaps without that ecstatic dance component, there will be more of just that free-flowing music from the guys who create as we go. And I think that's something just even worth noting, just how beautiful that component of the immersion is. I mean, as much as we guide the people through their practice. At the same time, we have live music being created as we flow, who really the musos are kind of feeding off the vibe in the room. And then you kind of get this epic exchange between them feeding off us and then us feeding off the music, and then and how that helps people to drop in and I guess do what we're talking about, which is quietening the mind and opening the heart. It certainly is a powerful energy when you get that combination happening.
Yeah. It feels like the last two were really dynamic and powerful, and it was great to have the cacao and all the cayenne pepper in it and the ginger and move the ecstatic dance, and real dynamic. And it felt like kind of coming out of winter into spring, like that was really necessary for a lot of people, and shake off any stagnation from the winter. And then it feels like January 8th, which is when this is going to be, after the kind of peak of Christmas and New Year, just kind of, really, just a different flavor I feel coming about. And I most likely a bit of ecstatic dance will be there, which
there will be
seems
some
to
free
organically
flow movement,
with the if you haven't done the spinal flow, like kind of peak end section where you shake, that's the most incredible way to just dance, which will most likely flow into a little bit more free flow movement, which again we just find so therapeutic and helpful. But I agree, a little bit more space to really tune things up, a little bit more guidance, and really go deep. It's going to be an incredible time.
It is.
And like you said, with the musicians, I mean, especially Matt and Jared, we've been doing this stuff countless times for 10 years now. And it's not, even though they are incredible musicians and performers, they tune in, and it's not like they're performing to everyone. They're really co-creating, and it's an incredible journey.
Well, it's essentially a long form sound healing session as well, so it's pretty magical there.
How have you found this year? What an interesting year. I mean, I was just speaking with a friend in New York who literally has not left her apartment in 9 months now. How have you found this year as a business owner? And I mean, it was an interesting first little chapter. Got this little 28 beautiful bird here. Ooh.
Yes, look, it's been a huge year. It's been a roller coaster. Certainly when we last talked, we were in our little Perth version of lockdown. The business was shut, which was a voluntary decision based on what was happening around the world and how things were looking pretty dicey, the way things were unfolding with COVID-19. So we had shut that down. Our dad was in hospital sick, so that was a really scary time, or just a really uncertain and strange time. And then from there, with Dad kind of coming through and getting better, which was a miracle and amazing, and the business kind of absolutely getting through, and since then really thriving, as a lot of people in Perth have. Of course, there's been a lot of people who unfortunately have struggled with businesses and things like that, but generally speaking, we've really been blessed, and at least the way we've come out of it to this point in Perth, Western Australia, and in Australia in general, certainly I think it's been obviously it's been managed in a very hyper vigilant kind of way, but at the same time we're very lucky to have been able to continue our lives the way we have, and like you said, compared to people overseas and in the States and Europe and things like that. I got a message from a good friend in Canada who wasn't able to have her wedding and things like that, and she just said how jealous she was watching all our photos pop up of the beautiful wedding down south, and to be able to do that was incredible. I know Lee, who was organising his wedding, one of their venues got cancelled, so they were able to, miraculously find a second place, which was so beautiful. But yeah, a lot of people have had to shuffle their life around significantly. But for me, at this point, heading in towards the end of the year, like it's been a good year, a challenging year, but a great year. Yeah, and I think a huge part of that, certainly one of my favourite parts of the year has been these workshops with you, and even just teaching in itself, which is still relatively a new thing to me. Obviously, working as a physiotherapist, it's normally in like a one-on-one setting, so to be able to stand there in front of a class and work as a group and work through the things that we do with our movement and everything, that's been really fun, diving into that and developing those skills as a teacher, and that's enjoyable. So yeah, it's been really good.
When are your classes for people that are in Perth? Yeah. You got one Monday?
Monday night at Horizon. That's in Swanbourne there, with the beautiful view of the sun setting, which is really magical, and I look forward to that every week. And then Centre Space on the Thursday night, which I just love that space so much. It's such a powerful space in there. So both classes going really well. Generally really nice and busy, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, I'll just keep with those two at this stage.
Yeah, the contrast compared to how so many people are in the world right now with the extended lockdowns and not being able to hug and the isolation. I mean, we had very little of that. Not to brag, it's really gratitude and also heartbreak as well. I mean, after speaking with my friend in New York, like it's taking its toll. It's been such an intense year. Like even just that isolation, like not being able to hug, not being able to see people for extended periods. I mean, we felt it for a few weeks there, and then things opened up quite quickly here, and even yoga classes, like being actually in person in a yoga class, connecting. Easy to start taking it for granted because we're in the flow, in the motion, but so many people 9 months now haven't had that, and it's a full on time for people. That really does take its toll. Even with our dear Nan, during that isolation time, that was it was a tough time. Like for these elderly that really. They need that. I mean, everyone needs it. But as people get frailer, and really they need assistance, they need the love, they need the nurturance. And I mean, we saw her drastically decline in her health during that time, which could have just been a bit of a coincidence of the timing. But I think it's pretty damn common of how heavy a toll it has taken on people's like mental health, but also physical health. Like we need to be outside, we need to be able to get out in nature, we need to be able to connect. Yet, it's just been such an interesting trip to observe on the collective.
Yeah, it's full on. And again, obviously, so lucky and grateful for how things are going over here, and hoping to see that things unfold in a really positive way in the next 6 months, 12 months. It's hard to know. yeah, there is a lot of unknowns. So we'll just have to wait and see and continue to pray for things to go really smoothly and nicely from this point.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at beautiful nature, I mean, this pristine forest that we're so lucky that it hasn't been screwed up and just wiped out. And it seems like we needed something drastic on a collective level, on a big level. You know, how many airplanes were zooming around the planet every given minute. Forests getting wiped out quicker than we can even comprehend. And like, if we kept going at that pace, really, it's mind-blowing contemplating how quick we can really have nothing left, be really screwed, like
Yeah, that's
potentially in our generation or our kids' generation, which we needed something. We just weren't getting it, and probably still not quite, but all around the world it was getting demonstrated of like, oh, just a few weeks of lockdown and things are getting rejuvenated, things are flowing.
Yeah, incredible.
And it is interesting to look at it that way. Again, just being out here and the amount in that 1 hour of us going for that walk yesterday, the just beauty of the things that unfolded in just getting out in nature. We need it. We need it for our health. We need it for our sanity, and we just need to connect with Mother Earth. For our well-being, for our connection to where we're going in the future.
Yeah, I agree. It just felt totally charged up, and even like don't want to use the word purified.
Use it.
Okay, okay. Just like it just feels like so detoxifying getting out there for us in amongst this beautiful forest, and even after 10-20 minutes that we spend a lot of time just walking around, jaw dropping, looking at the big beautiful carry trees, but halfway through we're kind of giggling like kids again, and rolling around, running around, doing all sorts of silly things and having a really good laugh, and incredible laughs, and you just feel high off nature, and that's such a beautiful thing. So to be able to just simplify things and get out there and do that was totally rejuvenating and energizing as fun.
Wim Hof, something like, we've got to get out of the city. Hug a fucking tree.
Breathe, motherfucker.
Breathe, motherfucker. Hug a fucking tree. And it was just so good, like just leaning on the tree, hugging the tree, putting my forehead on the tree, like, oh, we got to do that.
Yeah.
And again, heart goes out to people out there that really have not left their apartment, their house. Do you think there's ways we can get that by ourselves in an apartment?
Well, you'd want to have a few indoor plants.
Yep.
You'd have to. I think
rocks and
and like you just said it with the breath. That's probably the deepest way to look after yourself. I think just connecting with the breath and looking after yourself that way. I think you'd want to have a really solid practice if you were stuck in a little apartment, because you can obviously rejuvenate yourself, recharge yourself, look after yourself, keep yourself super healthy with that kind of consistent practice there, and that would be at least something if you can't get out to nature. But I'd love to hope that they can at least get outside sometime soon, those people, because it's tough to be stuck indoors for a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting one, like the measures that have been put in place. which I get. And I mean, no one knew what to do. Yet, I mean, when we were planning that last trip, and the thought of weeks in quarantine in a little air conditioned hotel, it's, I mean, we often get sick just in that environment alone, with just no circulation, barely any sunlight. Just that alone isn't good for us. And there's been studies apparently showing, like, people on the street. There was an assumption that all these homeless communities would be the ones most hit by this, but apparently it's completely the opposite, because they're outside. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's been direct correlations between vitamin D deficiency
Yeah.
and really going down with COVID and these other viruses and flus. And that's quite interesting. You would think through shitty food and just maybe seemingly not a thriving immune system, but just that simple act of being outside, they've apparently been the least affected.
Yeah, that's huge. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a podcast episode on Radio Lab. It was really interesting, actually. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's obviously a bit concerning if they're going to need to stay in lockdown a longer period of time. I think about those people in those little one-by-one apartments in London and stuff like that, particularly as the weather's now heading towards winter and things like that. It's definitely a bit concerning. Certainly, we know the sort of effects on mental health and things like that, even in places like England and with the long cold winters and yeah, the effects on mental health. So I'd hate to think COVID on top of that, but yes, again, hopefully things are heading in the right direction around that.
Back to our collaboration.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this since. It's so cool just to observe, like, objectively, like the unfoldment of it, of like how many countless hours you've been just zoning in deep, doing your music for all those years, dropping into it, and over the years, continuing your studies and refining your craft as a physio, and then stepping into your new role as a teacher. How do you find bringing in what you've done into this yoga arena?
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I guess for anyone that doesn't know, yeah, I mean, I'm a physiotherapist, and but over the years, spent our time in essentially your workshops and immersions and things like that. I would have just been playing the music, and certainly in the background, facilitating in that way. And I guess as a physio, just from being around your teachings and of course doing your yoga, being a part of those immersions when I wasn't playing the music, listening to your dialogue and learning from all of that and all the things we would discuss, what I would find bringing that back into the clinic and working with people in the one-on-one setting, a lot of the yogic principles were so helpful and effective for people dealing with pain and all the things associated with that. And over the years, it's just slowly all kind of intertwined into this practice as I would kind of learn and dive into a bit of a new movement technique or a different mobility strategy, or and just sort of deepening that practice to try and get people opening up and improving their mobility and building their resilience and their capacity and things like that. And yeah, I guess over time, just started to think, okay, I think I could do this in a class format. I think even talking to you a couple of years ago now, I kind of said, all right, which yoga teacher training course should I do? And you were kind of just like, what are you talking about? Just teach. You got all the tools. And I sort of thought, yeah, I guess I do. And that's
I remember saying, find out for yourself.
yeah,
Do your research, find teachers you like,
That's
and that's
right.
what you've done.
exactly.
You've done courses with teachers that you vibe with.
Yeah.
No, not specifically yoga teacher trainings, but it's incredibly sophisticated, and
Yeah, that's right.
it might not be the yoga methodology in that. I think if you were gonna label what you do yoga, you should do a yoga teacher training, no
That's
doubt.
right. Yeah.
But you're not.
No,
It's
I
your
don't.
own thing.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure that's what we came to. Like, if you're gonna teach yoga, yeah, find a teacher trainer
That's right.
that you vibe off. I
Yeah.
mean, that's key. People bring it up all the time. I cut you off big time there, but
Yeah, you did.
it's a good one because hearing it left, right, and center, because it does seem very attractive. The life of a yoga teacher. It was made very attractive for a while there, running retreats and you're up the front and like it can seem very attractive. And
Yeah.
people are often pretty quick to fall in love with the practice and then very quickly like, I want to be a teacher. Like what teacher training should I do? And yeah, people just got to find it out for themselves.
That's good advice.
Because, well, there's just so many and so many different, especially in the modern day, so many different flavors of yoga and different hybrids of yoga. And you want to know what you're diving into and respect the teacher, and because they're great teacher trainings and pretty ordinary ones. It's all pretty kind of like the Wild West still. It's very broad and big, and find your teachers and go deep with them.
Yeah.
But sorry for the cutoff. Yeah.
Not at all. I think that's really important sort of information and clarification on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think also a big one for me has been getting more comfortable in that setting. Certainly growing up and over the years, I hated public speaking, or was crippled by it. It was a huge gorilla on my back in terms of something in my life that I didn't have under control. And
Well, same.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. Hated it. Hated it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's an interesting one. Like, it's one of the biggest fears of all people.
it is. It's
The
like top
biggest.
3, like as with dying and
So it's good that you talk about it because it's showing that you can own it and shift it and grow through it. You don't have to be a victim to that fear of it. And it's also like, it's pretty insane, really, isn't it?
well, it is.
Just to look, again, objectively, like not take it personally, just look at the strangeness of freaking out about talking in front of a bunch of people. It's a great practice.
It is. It's huge, and the process of becoming comfortable with it has been profound, really, because it really does just highlight part of the human condition, which is overthinking things, fear of things not going well, fear of embarrassment, fear of being judged, and then the effect that overthinking mind has on the body, which is creating a response as though death is coming very quickly,
Yeah.
like as though you are under attack. So the body goes into this freak out mode, like, a tiger's about to come and eat you kind of thing. It might the body doesn't know the difference. The way the mind is starting to freak out. Everything goes into hyperdrive, and your respiratory rate increases and heart rate increases, and everything tightens up. You go into that response, and then you of course you can't comfortably talk, and of course you don't have a clear train of thought, and it's going to throw you out. And for me, it used to almost go into like panic attack mode. I just would get super short of breath, and I just would be completely unable to carry out a discussion. And yeah, a lot of it, like, to start to get on top of that was your yoga teachings and like the breath awareness, a big thing, keeping the body calm when you're in like a difficult situation or a challenging posture, like breathing, relaxing, as the body starts to tighten up and contract, being able to breathe and relax into that and stay really calm and really present. That's for me part of the wisdom in, little pennies started to drop. And so for me, it was understanding the physical changes that would take place when that anxiety starts to kick in, and then almost doing the opposite and opening the shoulders and relaxing the hands and relaxing my legs and just breathing into the belly, and even sort of smiling a little bit, because in truth, if you were really in a life-threatening situation, you wouldn't be able to do those things. So by kind of showing the body that yes, we can kind of relax and relax into this moment, then the breathing rate comes down, the heart rate comes down, everything starts to feel all good, and then you can clearly reduce the threat of the environment and go, there is no threat, there is nothing to be concerned of. Even if I sound a little bit nervous, no one's going to judge me or like, think in that way. And even if they did, well, that's okay. I'll survive. Everything will be just fine. And that whole process has been huge. And that's why I'm so passionate about what we're doing in terms of quietening the mind and opening the heart, because really that can get you through anything. And I think the majority of people are too in their heads and are too closed. I see it in the clinical setting with people who are in pain, who are stressed about their pain and stressed about their lives, and that's hugely contributing to their kind of pain experience. So for them, it's so important to be able to just get in touch with their body and then relax the body and spend more time just being present, and then physically opening the body, which is probably going to help with their posturing, and that's going to help with their pain and everything like that. So it's just all so intertwined. That's one thing I am so passionate about. And as I sort of say this, I can't remember what the question was.
Well, no, we just kind of went there with the public speaking thing.
Yeah, the classes and teaching and everything like that.
Yeah, which is good, because it's a good one to pick apart because it's so massive. So
Yeah,
like
that's
public
right.
speaking being one of the most predominant fears in the world, we've all known, like, just take a deep breath. It'll be like, we all know that conceptually.
Well, that doesn't
and
work
fundamentally. It
enough.
doesn't.
It's not enough.
You got to go deep.
Yeah,
You got to really practice. Like, the first breath, it's not going to do shit. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. It's pretty fierce, really, isn't it?
It really helps to understand what happens in that kind of stress anxiety response. Because if you're not aware of the body's reactions,
It's so seductive. It's so
you don't
intense.
Yeah, you can't disconnect from it. If you can't observe the reactions, the breath is not enough, because
You're just in it.
It's just not. You have to be able to observe the thoughts, those irrational thoughts, like, why am I freaking out so much, and be able to then observe the body's physical responses to the stressful thoughts. A big one that I've found that's been really powerful is like ice baths,
Yeah.
because as soon as you get in, your body's response is to tighten up, freak out. It hurts. It's really uncomfortable. You get short of breath. You get those gasping breaths. That kind of reminded me of those times with public speaking. And then to actually observe the responses and then connect with the breath, tune into your breathing, whether it's Wim Hof breathing or just simple belly breathing and relaxing and quietening the mind, and start to feel the breathing rate come down and the heart rate come down and the body actually start to warm. It's incredible. And then you can get to a point where you can stay in there as long as you need, and feel you just be overwhelmed with like bliss and comfort. And you're thinking, this is freezing cold water. And I have done it where on one instance I didn't do any of those techniques and I just jumped in there and just see what was happening. We were with friends and we were laughing, and I lasted like a minute and had to get out because it was painful and oh god, it just sucked. And then the next day we came back and I just got in the zone and fully dropped in and did 10 minutes no problem. And I just was thinking how powerful that was. And then come back a couple of weeks later and I had a job interview and I could just feel nerves kicking in. And just tightening up a little bit. And I actually just went back to that moment of being in the ice and the breathing and how relaxed I was able to get, just simply by quietening the mind and relaxing the body. And I just thought, God, how powerful that is. Again, knowing how much of their lives people do spend in stress, anxiety response, and with an overthinking mind too, connected with their thoughts.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because stress gets a bad rap. It gets a bad rap,
Big bad wolf.
but with this awareness and these techniques that we can practice, we really can embrace stress, and it can be the catalyst to help us keep growing rather than getting more negative about life, rigid, tense, just hung up and stressed out about life. We can really just own it. And Ram Dass often used the narrative of it's grist for the mill, it's all fuel for the fire, rather than being in one of those stressful situations and just hating it. Get me back to some comfort, get me back to something easy. It's like, nah, this is a precious opportunity to go deep and also strengthen those tools. And it's always so gratifying and worth it in those really uncomfortable situations. We've been invited to give a speech or whatever, where all eyes are on us, we're about to talk. That is a powerful moment to really, burn up the illusion, the illusions that the ego creates, which is all just, it's completely false. It's completely false. And those challenges, like the ice baths, and I like saunas as well, like kind of immersing in the challenge voluntarily. We got to do that shit. We can get, especially in the modern day, where we can turn on the air conditioner when it's too hot. We can turn on the heater when it's too cold, which is all great luxuries. But if we do that day in, day out, too much television, too much phone, unaddressed stress, it just builds up and it really does limit our potential. So
Yeah, absolutely.
That's become predominant. That's become pretty normalized to be excessively distracted, not feeling like we've got that kind of autonomy of what we can do with our mind. That, where do I start? What the fuck? Like, where do I start? So that, this kind of, this tension that you see so much of, one-to-one, you've gotten to know it so deeply. So that, just not feeling great, feeling like tired and sluggish. Like there's some pretty potent combinations that are very become normalized. But it's pretty pathological, really. Like,
Absolutely.
we can do better collectively, and it's a great time to encourage one another. Not like you ought to, but it's like it's like, why the fuck not? Like, just this one life, let's
Well,
just go for it.
it's just such a shame, and you know, if you look at these bodies as vehicles to travel through this life, you just want it to be a comfortable ride,
Yeah.
and a and with a vehicle that you can really trust and know that's gonna go the distance and get through some difficult terrain at times. It's like, again, like you said, it is so easy to remain comfortable. If it's cold, turn the heater on. If it's hot, turn the freaking air conditioner on or whatever. But it's becoming more of an idea to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and I think that's a nice theme, and because that's where the growth is, and we do want to have a kind of ongoing attitude to look for growth in things, and those difficult, uncomfortable, stressful situations are certainly areas for growth. And again, there is too many people that still don't see it that way, and they get very uncomfortable in those situations and very stressed, and they haven't got the tools to observe those pathological thoughts and thought processes and ways of being and functioning. And unfortunately, they're having a really crap time. They're stressed and they're nervous and they're anxious, and they're not seeing those thoughts for what they are, and then they're not observing the body's reactions, and they're walking around in pain and uncomfortable, trying to figure out what the hell to do. And so again, that's why this has become such a passion for me, because I see how powerful it is just by often just talking through these things, and you just see the penny drop time and time again, when you talk to the people about their thought processes, understand what they think, and then perhaps just provide a little bit of education around it, talk about the breathing, talk about the posture, and how that affects their experience, and then you can just see they go, oh my god, like, it's life changing. So we stick with the quiet mind. Hey guys.
Hi.
You little birdies.
For those of you just listening, not watching, we've got these beautiful 28s, beautiful birds that are so friendly.
My god,
just hanging right here.
Incredible. Those colours.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
So we stick with the quiet mind and the open heart because, well, quietening the problem-solving, overthinking, often pathological thought processes, and the open heart side of it. I mean, you can talk more from your side and your experience and from your teachings, and for me, combining the very physical processes of opening, even what we would say, what would close the chest and close the heart would be, tight pecs, tight lats, tight spine, all these things. So for me, coming at it from such a physical point and actually opening up through the chest and through the spine, and the effect that can have on people, opening them up, you see it time and time again. It changes their life. Like it really changes their experience because they're open, and then they feel the effect that has on their life. It's like things just start going better for them just simply by walking with a better posture, and they're better posture, they're in less pain, they're feeling good, they're feeling confident, and then and things do start to unfold a bit differently. It's really quite powerful.
Yeah, it's such a great way to practice. I mean, it really does feel like such a healthy combination, and to have 3 hours doing it feels really nice. Like 1 hour, like coming for a 1 hour class here and there. I mean, it's great. We got to keep practicing. But to have that extra 2-3 hours to really dive into those movements like you're talking about, but then also nurture these seeds of truly opening up the heart, because there's so many valid reasons to keep closing the heart, to keep closing that. It's a mad world. It's a scary world. And if we are just in that survival mode and thinking mind, yeah, there's going to be endless reasons to jam back up and armor the heart again and again and again. And that's the kind of common thing we see in our society, isn't it? Of like back to reality, you know? So like a weekend like this, for example, where it's been beautiful and so much love and friendship and celebration of marriage and just gorgeous. And like we were talking about it yesterday, like even just people getting really drunk, it's like a cathartic experience of like people dancing, and in a way they're doing a bit of a spinal flow thing. They're shaking off the tension, and
There was some spinal flow going on, that's for sure.
and then even the catharsis of, I mean, people got very, very drunk. It was fun.
It was hilarious.
And then so okay, what I'm getting to is like, so our culture, that's a predominant practice. Waiting for the weekend to
Blow off steam.
have some fun. Like, we've got a huge, I don't know, we all drank, but there is a drinking issue in the like coping mechanisms.
It
what I'm
was
getting
interesting to, because there was so many like ultra drunk people.
Yeah.
And again, so it was so much fun. The cocktails came out and the espresso martinis came out, and then it all just went to another level. But it was definitely interesting to observe just how keen everyone was to get really,
Yes.
really pissed.
Yeah. So,
Like
yeah.
like they'd been waiting for this for a long time, and there was a lot of built up
Yeah.
tension, energy, and just to be able to just let everything go.
Yeah.
It was, again, so much fun, but just interesting to observe. And of course, not the most healthy of strategies, because there was some damn sore heads yesterday morning. So, and you feel horrible, for a day or two,
If not more.
if not more.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the beauty of what we're creating with these immersions and things like that, because it's such a healthy platform to have a huge, profound, therapeutic kind of release. So it's just an observation, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an observation, like deepening these coping mechanisms, because alcohol is a big one. It's a big one that's just been normalized. It's alcohol, it's legal, it's right there to pop down, and that's a very common coping mechanism, which is incredibly addictive. And if that's our only coping mechanism, we're really running ourselves short,
Yeah, that's right. It's not healthy, and of course, yes, we had a drink, and it was a great celebration, and but to really rely on it, and even with the ecstatic dances we've had, and you get people getting in touch going, oh, I don't know how I feel about the ecstatic dance, and people having a lot of apprehension around that, and again, what that apprehension, stress, anxiety would do to your body, would close you off. You really can't get loose and enjoy yourself. So to be able to help facilitate people to relax into it, and we just hear time and time again people having incredible times and incredible experiences, because it was the first time that they had danced and moved like that without the facilitation of alcohol. I even remember back in the day, you go to a club and, oh, I'm not ready yet, I'll just go hit the bar, and a couple of tequila shots later, yeah, I think I'll be ready, and,
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And that's absolutely practice. So, I really enjoy the process of helping people to feel comfortable to then really let go and open up if it's into that dance component.
And for most people, it's not instant. It does take work, like if it's your first time dancing without alcohol, without drugs, it is going to feel strange at first, very likely, unless you're just a very confident person, easygoing, and you can just do it. But as far as I've experienced, and it took me a while, without a doubt, it took me a while to get out of my self-conscious thought patterns, thinking that everyone's looking at me, everyone's judging me, and just let loose and flow. It took me quite a while. So for most people, it is a practice for sure. But that, again, through the guidance of like, you're not the only one. Probably the majority of people are going through the same reactions and thought patterns you're going through. We're all on this journey together. And there is a kind of feeding off of each other, like this transmission feeding off of like, oh yeah, shit, like no one's judging one another. And it's so beautiful, the vibe that's created as more and more people let go. It's like, even though you and I are the ones teaching, it really does feel like this co-creation, collaboration, like when people do create those shifts and those breakthroughs, it really does feel like a kind of ripple through the room of, all right, let's keep going deeper. It's like we keep hearing we're all in it together, and it feels like when we're in that concentrated format, there's a real dynamic of co-creation, which I just love.
Yeah, an epic energy. And you just look around and see the big smiles and the connection all around the room when it's happening. It's incredible.
So a couple questions often come up in the lead up with people that are on the fence as to whether to come or not. Since it's been broadcasted, the last couple that would be doing ecstatic dance, some people brought up like, oh, yeah, like you said, apprehensive of the ecstatic dance. Like, I don't know if I want to come because of that. I want to come. I love you guys. I love your teachings, but I don't want to dance. So again, it's so good for us. But this next one, we're just leaving it a bit open.
It won't be an hour.
It won't be an hour set ecstatic dance. I think that was it was great to do that, and big love to Sophie. That was incredible.
Yeah, she killed it.
Killed it, both workshops, and we're just feeling, a little shift in which, if carrying on probably from the spinal flow, like, I don't know, like 20 minutes of free flow dance, something like that.
Even less probably. I think there'll be an opportunity to enjoy intuitively moving. I certainly like the idea of working to a point where people have enough tools and they're so connected with the body and the mind is quiet enough that they can intuitively move with confidence, and they have enough different tools to be able to do that, that it would be a shame not to explore that for a period.
For sure.
To some awesome music. But I think outside of that, I think we want to keep the guidance going, and that will help people to drop in even deeper. Because it's, again, we just want to keep it fresh and keep changing the workshop, and this is a way to do that this time. Again, the hour ecstatic dances have been amazing, but for this one we'll do it a bit differently.
Yeah. Another one that often comes up is like, again, want to come, love it, but are you going to be doing the eye gazing? Don't want to do it. Comes up at least a few times each time, as you know.
That was another thing that was hugely challenging for me years ago. I remember, if you don't mind me cutting you off.
No, cut.
It's been one of the like most profound things ever for me.
Yeah.
I used to be sitting back on my drum, and you'd be getting people pairing up and getting them to drop in, and I'd almost be sitting back like, "Ooh, suckers!" Like unlucky, that's gotta suck. And I'd be able to just sit back and play my drum and not do the hard work. Of course, I wanted to give my best offering to allow people to dive in and things like that.
Talking to the mic.
Okay. But I just keep getting sucked in by the beautiful views.
Yeah.
Because eye contact was another thing. Public speaking and eye contact for me were like two serious issues. You even used to comment back in the day that I wouldn't hold eye contact for very long. And then to do that, with a stranger for a long period of time, it definitely created a bit of anxiety for me. And then I remember the one instance at the Kookaburra retreat, and I was nestling into my spot, getting ready to play the drum. Everyone was starting to pair up, and you're like, "Cam, you're doing this one." And I just remember thinking, Stu. And like, boom, like the anxiety starts to overcome and whatever. But I ended up getting paired with such a beautiful person, and we had an incredible time, and there was tears and the connection. There was certainly that feeling of we're in it together, and had a profound experience. And with each time, it's become easier, and I've gotten more and more out of it each time. And of course, just I guess the eye contact in everyday life now is a lot more comfortable, and it's not an issue for me. And I think it's a hugely powerful tool.
Yeah, and further into that notion of diving into the challenge. So that's a big challenge for a lot of people. Physically, sitting still. I like to do it. We like to do it for a good chunk of time, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
For that reason, partially, like dive into the challenge. Like, yeah, we can all do this for 2 minutes. We can all do this for 5. But the clock ticks, body starts to get achy, restless. Like learning to breathe through it. It magnifies those physical tensions and stagnations.
Yeah, that's right.
It brings up a lot, but that's all good. It's a precious moment. So I get the impulse people have, like, want to come, but if only that wasn't happening. I get it. Like Friday night, yeah, you want to be doing something fun, or like, but if you haven't done it and you don't come because of that, I really encourage just take a leap and just enjoy it, because again, like countless times I've heard similar to that of like, I was anxious, didn't want to do it, but I did it, and it was the most profound, like people often share, it was the most profound experience of my life, most intimate experience of my life. And often it is with a stranger. And another kind of sub-question often comes up, well, why would I do this with a stranger? But it's a practice. It's a practice when we can connect not just with people we like, not just with people we love, not just with people we want to be around, but anyone and everyone, and be able to really be present. And it really is training for everything we've been talking about, things that come up, fears that come up, judgments, like what do you do with it? And it really does amplify that fire of being able to just breathe through the anxieties, breathe through the judgments. And again, that's one of the reasons we often take it to about 20 minutes, is it gives you that chance to really work through all your stuff.
That's right.
And then quite often there's a shift that happens that can be quite dramatic, a shift of deep clarity and love and interconnectedness. And people often then take it home, and they're more able, like Lee and Beck, because we did that last weekend, kind of in prep for their wedding.
Yeah.
And big shout out to Lee and Beck if you happen to be listening.
Love you guys.
They admitted that, oh, Stu, like that eye gazing we did last week, and that was their first time, and they don't do a lot of yoga. There are body aches, and it was challenging, but they admitted that eye gazing helped them have a more deeply confident and relaxed and beautiful marriage, which, I mean, that's so cool.
Well, you could just see them, like when they were getting married, they were just staring into each other's eyes, unwavering, you know, like during that ceremony and then during the first dance. Oh, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, just to see them so intimately just staring into each other's eyes the whole time.
It's like
My
no one
God.
else was around. It was so beautiful.
It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really special. And you're right, what you're doing, you know, with people individually, but then also in these, now what's looking like couples sessions, because how many couples go through their relationships and they're not staring into each other's eyes, or making love and not looking into each other's eyes, or
very common.
It's such a breakdown in the communication and in the intimacy. So to open that back up again, or to open it up again, like is incredible, you know.
Yeah, it's huge. And again, I bring up the phone thing a lot, but as we know, it's an energy sucker and an awareness drainer, and it feels like medicine for that as well, of like, all right, when we're connecting, put the phone down, actually look into each other's eyes, actually listen, because that's turning into a collective pathology as well, of like this compulsive kind of chronic being more drawn to the phone than to being with the person we're with. And couples admit it all the time, like the kind of trance that they've gotten sucked into of getting home from work, flipping on the TV, having a beer, having a wine or whatever, getting on the phone, and they haven't even connected with their lover. And, you know, you get sucked into that cycle, and days and weeks and months and years can go by without that deep connection. So it's so therapeutic, even though you're not saying anything, you're not working shit out. Something about just gazing into the eye, you work a whole lot of shit out without even, it's pretty psychedelic in that way. Like all these teachings unfold just through paying attention.
Yeah.
Really cool.
It's amazing.
Let's wrap this up in a bit. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have a nice chat again. We've had some beautiful chats, and
it was this time 2 years ago we were doing this in Hawaii.
Yeah, I was just thinking that because I remember, because I'm just getting the sun on my face right now, and I remember, I remember being in Hawaii and same thing. The sun was just, I sort of spent my whole session with the eyes closed, just chilling as the sun shone on me. But it's just coming up now really beautifully, and we can go out there and enjoy this day a little bit more. Okay. But yeah, it was just nice to, I guess, talk about the immersion a little bit, because it is coming up, and it's super exciting. Can't wait for the next one.
And another question that's come up is, will it be online? So we're still trying to work that out, because there's a lot going on sound-wise, which is what we're trying to dial in, because the live broadcast of it, just, we haven't worked out a way to do it justice, because it's such a big, diverse range of sounds and guidance and all that. So we're trying to work that out, but stay tuned. We will try to, I mean, at the very least, it'll be recorded and put onto the Yoga Heart Mind app that you can check out. But we'll try and work out how to do it live. So stay tuned on that if that's what you're wanting. And if we've made a way to make that work, we will let you all know ASAP. But just a few weeks. And
Yeah.
January 8th, I know it seems far away, but we're heading into December now. It's going to be here very soon. And not a whole lot of tickets left. So, yeah, get your sorted ASAP. Because pretty much, each event that we have done, each workshop, we get to that final week and it's been sold out so far each time. And people are hustling, trying to get tickets in the last week, last few days. So even though it seems a way off, it's going to be here before we know it. So get them sorted ASAP, huh?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
want it. We want the room full of amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the more the better. And we do want to sell it out, and we do want it pumping in there. So,
And Perth crew get to Darch, get
oh yeah,
#Darched.
yeah. Want to do my thing? Absolutely. It's always fun now doing these classes. Half of the people will be clients,
That's great.
so I know how they move anyway.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then more and more people are, who love the classes, then go, oh, right, I can come and see you one-on-one as well and dive in a bit deeper. So,
Cool.
yeah, that's what I love doing.
Amazing work, brother.
Thank you, bro. You too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Cheers, guys.
Thank you so much for listening. If you did enjoy that, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review, a comment, subscribe wherever you do your podcast listening. Also, be sure to head on over to darchphysio.com.au. Cam is the co-founder of Darch and just an incredible physiotherapist. You got to check it out if you are in Perth, WA. And yeah, hope to see you on January 8th in Perth City for a deep dive, quiet mind, open heart, spinal flow. Be well, much love. Tune in soon.